Hello Internet, my name is Lave and I watched Aquaman, the latest film in the DC cinematic universe following on from Justice League, which literally broke my heart. So I went into this one a little bit tentative without very high expectations, and I thought if it's okay, then I'm okay with it being okay, and it's okay. Set after the events of Justice League, Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, is back doing his superhero thing, sort of under the radar, but when he finds out his half-brother is plotting to go to war with the surface world, he must decide to go back to Atlantis to face him and decide whether to claim his place as king. So let's start with some positives. Jason Momoa is really good as Aquaman. He's got this unconventional, cocky, rebellious charisma to him, which actually fits the character and the story. Excuse the pun, but he's a fish out of water, especially when he goes back to Atlantis, having been raised on the surface world, so he's out of his element when he goes down to Atlantis. I wasn't quite sold on the romance between him and Amber Heard's character, Mera. To be honest, it kind of had the feeling of more of good friends as opposed to anything romantic, but it does look like they are trying, and when they come up to the surface world, she becomes the fish out of water, which is kind of fun. The chemistry is actually better between Nicole Kidman and Temuera Morrison's character, who are playing his mum and dad respectively, so you get to see how they meet and fall in love and how Arthur was born and how that ties into the main plot. I was actually quite surprised at how much time the film devoted to these characters, because it's already juggling quite a lot, and you are essentially getting three origin stories in this. So you get the origin story of his mum and dad and how they meet. You get Aquaman's own origin story with him growing up and getting trained by Willem Defoe's character, who I hadn't realised was in this. The film awkwardly gets disrupted with these really weird flashback insertions. It literally goes there for a second and then comes back to present time. You also get Black Manta's origin story and how he came to be and how that ties into the plot. That starts off quite seriously, but then the character becomes quite jokey. There are a few jokes in this, some land, some don't. And then you've got the main plot with Patrick Wilson's King Orm, who's trying to unite the Seven Kingdoms to go to war with the surface world, and you do get to see all seven kingdoms, I believe, and that is an example of the film trying to keep up with itself. So every time we go to one of the seven kingdoms, you get a title card come up saying where you are. But at one moment, I swear to God, they go to one place and it comes up with Kingdom of the Trenches, I think it is, but then 30 seconds later they go to another place and it straight away comes up with Kingdom of the Hidden Sea or something along those lines. It jumps around quite a lot, but I think the film is self-aware of this, because Arthur Curry says at one point, we're doing things out of order, but who cares, as he goes on another subplot to find this hidden trident, this MacGuffin. So it is a bit crazy. It's also somehow very predictable amongst its craziness, but it always retains that sense of fun. And I think a huge part of the reason why is because of the director James Wan, who's got a horror background predominantly. I think he did the Conjuring films. There's a couple of really dynamic fight sequences which are made to look like one shot, and there's a terrific tidal wave sequence which is really exhilarating. But there are a few occasions where it does look a bit off, like the CG underwater hair replacement effect, which sometimes is a bit distracting, but then this film must have been quite a big technical challenge to make it look like all of it was taking place underwater. And one of the unexpected benefits of having a lot of the action sequences take place under the water, whenever they punch or whenever they fight, you get the sort of ripple trapped air water effect, which looked like kind of speed lines, and I thought that worked really well. I think the way they move underwater was really effective. It's kind of like Superman flying through the air but underwater. Visually overall, I think the film is a success. I think James Wan does bring something unique to the table, but I also picked up on some visual cues to other films. There's some obvious ones and little Easter eggs in there, like Stingray appears on TV at one moment. There's a couple of references to Pinocchio, and there's obvious comparisons between this and Clash of the Titans, with a sort of Kraken meets Medusa type scene. But there's other little subtle references to films that I picked up on. I'd even go as far to say that it has similar vibes to Indiana Jones. Maybe not Indiana Jones, maybe more like the National Treasure movies. But I also picked up on little references, like I think they're referencing Superman Returns at one point. There's gladiator visuals in there. I think it's definitely pinching the vibes from Tron, and also little films like The Goonies of all things. So all in all, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Like I say, it's muddled but somehow still predictable, but it always retains that sense of fun, and I think it does do enough fan service by seeing characters in traditional colours and traditional costumes. Sometimes I think that really works with Aquaman's traditional yellow and green, and Black Manta looked a bit odd to me. I thought he was a bit cheesy, but I thought overall it was alright. So that's my thoughts on Aquaman, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. It's not exactly top tier superhero movie, but I think it's done the best with the character and where the DC cinematic universe is at the moment, with Suicide Squad and Justice League really underwhelming. I was just glad that it's got a sense of fun to it, and this one has definitely got a sense of fun. It's a good popcorn flick, but it's not going to be in like my top 10 superhero movies list or anything like that. So thanks very much for watching this review. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought down in the comments, and as always, thanks very much for watching this vid. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like, and don't forget to share the lave. Yahoo! Subscribe.